Hey guys, this is Mr. H. Hey, I am going to do a video on how to find the domain and range of a function. So I'm just going to jump in with this image. All right, I've started with this image of the Pink Panther because this is a key idea what I'm going to be using. So basically what I'm doing is whenever you're given a function or a relation, if you can box it up, you can find the domain and range pretty easily. So I'm going to show you that. But first, I want to start by saying these are the things that I'm going to try to cover in here. I'm going to tell you what domain and range means for a function, and then I'm going to show you how to find the domain and range for almost any function. All right, so let me jump into it. All right, now, a couple key things that I need to start with. You should understand what a continuous function is, and you should also understand what a discrete function is, because that's important when we're figuring out domain and range. Again, a domain just means all of the inputs for a particular function, and remember, inputs are just vertical lines. And then range is all of the outputs for a function. And remember, outputs are just horizontal lines. So let's go back to this idea, continuous versus discrete. So continuous just means if you're trying to trace from one side of a function to the other side of the functions using a pen or pencil, you can go from one side of the function to the other side of the function without lifting your pen off the paper. That means it's continuous. Now, if it's discrete, that means you won't be able to trace from one side to the other. You're going to have to lift your pencil off the paper or pen off the paper. So let me show you exactly what I mean by this. I'm going to start with the continuous function because I think that's easier. So if you look at this one, I can start on the left side. Um, First of all, is this a function? You should say yes because it passes a vertical line test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that this is a continuous function. So I can start here, and then I can trace all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, and then all the way down. I can get from the left side of the function to the right side of the function without lifting my pen off the paper. So if I can do that, then it's continuous. That means there's no gaps, there's no places where I have to hop over something. So it's continuous. That's an important idea. Now, I'm going to show you the difference. This is a discrete or a discontinuous function. So if I want to get from here over to this side of the function, then that means I have to kind of jump over to this point. I can't just draw a line because if I draw a line, that means I'm changing the function and I don't want to change it. So in order to get from here, I got to jump over here and then I'm jumping up here and then I'm jumping down here and then I'm jumping back up here. So in order for me to that jump, that means it's not continuous. That means it's discrete. Now, the reason that that's important is when you're trying to find the domain and range of a discrete function, all you're going to do is find all of the x values and then all of the y values. So in this case, remember, this is a vertical line. So this would be 0. So that's one input. This is a vertical line at 2. So that's one input. Here is a vertical line at 4. Oh, that's not a good one. This is a vertical line at 4. So I can put that in the input set. And then I can put a vertical line at 5. That's also an input set or input. And now I can draw a vertical line at 7. And that's also an input. So I've given you all of the inputs. So this is the domain of the function 0, 2, 4, 5, 7. That's all of the inputs for that function. Now, if I want to find the range, I just need to find the y values. So if I want to find the y values, I'm going to start down here. So this is a -7 and I have 2, so I can put that. Now this one is a -2, so that's that. Then up here we have 5, that's the output, and then up here I have 7. So those are the inputs, or sorry, those are the outputs. And then over here, these are the inputs. So all of the outputs are called the range. And now if you wanted to map it, you can go 0 goes to a -2, boom. And then we have 2 goes to a -7, bam. And then we got 4 goes to 5. So we go 4 to 5, boom. And then we got 5 goes to a -7. So we're going to draw that over to a -7. And then we have 7 goes to 7. So it's going to go straight across. Boom. Now you can see, if you look over here, that this is a function, but this is the domain, this is the range. Now, this is what you do when the function is discrete. All right. Now, I'm going to show you what to do when the function is continuous. All right. So remember, we want the inputs. So what we're going to do in this case, because it's continuous, we can say we can start the inputs on this side, because this is the minimum input. Let me try that again. And I want to make it red. I like red. This is the input. So it starts at, dang it. It starts at a -6. And then it goes all the way over to a +6. So now, once I've drawn my vertical lines of the start and the stop, I can just read the x values. So the domain starts at a -6, and it goes all the way over to a +6. So those are all of the values that are represented in this function. Now, to find the range, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the graph. I'm going to draw a horizontal line through the y-axis, and then I'm going to go to the top of the graph, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line through that part. So now you can see that the graph, the output starts at a -7, and it goes all the way up to a +4. So that would be the range. And this up here would be the domain. So any number between a -6 all the way over to a +6, I can get to. That's an input. And any number between a -7 and 4, that's an output. Those are the y values. All right, so now let's do another one. All right, I like the continuous ones because those are the ones that are more difficult. You already know how to do mapping diagrams, so the domain for discrete functions is not that difficult. It's the continuous ones. All right, first of all, is this a function? Yes, because it passes the vertical line test. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start on the very left because we're going to find the domain. So we're going to start over here, and we're going to draw a vertical line. And you can see the x value is a -5. So that's the minimum x value that we have for this function. And then you're going to go over to the right. That represents the maximum x value. So it's going to be 7. So the domain starts at a -5, and it goes all the way over to 7. We're going to put it in these brackets like that, and that's what the domain is. So any number between a -5 all the way to a +7 is in our domain. Now, I'm going to do the range. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the graph, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line, and then I'm going to go up to the tip top of the graph, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line. So the output starts at a -7, and it goes all the way to a +7. So I would say the range, and you always start from the bottom and you go to the top. So it's going to be a -7 to a +7. We're going to put these in brackets. Now, I'll explain the difference between the bracket and parentheses a little later. But for now, you just need to focus on where does the input start? Where does it end? Where does the output start? Where does it end? And basically, if you look at this, you can see that basically what I have is a box. So once I've got this function boxed up, all you have to do is read the x coordinates for the domain and the y coordinates for the range. Now, if you go back to the original picture that I had of Pink Panther, you can see, even though this isn't a function, we can find the domain and range for this relation. So all we would do, if we wanted to know what the domain is, let's say domain, all you would do once you've got it boxed up is you go over here and you look, and you can see that the minimum x value is going to be a -13. And then we're going to come over to this side, and we're going to do the same thing. The maximum input is going to be a +13. So the domain goes from a -13 all the way over to a +13. We put it in brackets. We got it. Now let's do the range, and then we're going to wrap this up. Range. The range starts at the bottom of the box. So if I make this, you can see that it goes through the y value of, it's probably about a -12.5. And then if we go up to the top of the box, this looks like about 10.5. So the domain for this function or this relation would be a -12.5, always start at the bottom, and it goes all the way up to 10.5. Put it in brackets, boom, we're done. So whenever you have a continuous function or a continuous relation, if you can box it up, you can come up with the domain and range by just reading the x values off the x-axis or the y values off the y-axis for the range. All right. I hope this has been helpful. I'm going to stop and I'm going to post this.